The purpose of this video is to illustrate some of the differences between the standard and the pro version of SongSurgeon version 3. Let's assume we want to learn a guitar solo, and I've got one queued up here that's about 13 seconds, so let's take a quick listen. And there you have it. So in the standard version, what we can do is we can set up one set of loop points. So we can do that by clicking here and clicking here at the end, and you can see we have a loop area set up. And now we can slow that loop area down, 50%, 75%, whatever we want. We can allow that to play back at that speed, and then when we're done, we can go ahead and we can change it again. So even in the standard version, it's a fairly useful and powerful tool because you can hear what's being played. But now let's contrast that to what you can actually do in the Pro tool. And what you can see in the Pro version is that I have set up not one, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different loops. And you can see that we start with a loop at 30%, and even though I have a loop point set up, we're essentially going to let it play once, and then we're going to go to the next one, which plays at 50%, and again, no looping. The next one at 70%. Then when we get to this fourth one, we're actually going to play it twice. In other words, we're going to loop it once. And then when we get to the fifth one, we're going to actually play it 3 times. We're going to actually loop it twice, and that's going to play at 100%. So you can see the first difference is we can set up multiple loop points, and let's go ahead now and take a listen to that, and I'm going to go ahead and start this one about midway through. And what you can hear there was a click track, and that is a second thing which I've done here, which you cannot do in the standard version. That is that I copied and pasted a click track in front of each of the sections of this solo, so you've got some warning that it's coming and you can get ready and prepared. So you heard the 30%, and now you're hearing the 50%. I'm going to jump ahead here toward the end, so we'll go then into the 70%. And you can listen some more and see how we progressively increase the speed here, how we have the click track at the beginning so you can sort of get set up and time yourself. And as we get toward the end here, we actually start the looping. So let's go ahead and take a listen. Now, I wanted to stop just to tell you, you may have noticed here that at the end of this, it paused or hesitated. And the reason for that is if you look at the loop settings, you can see that I set up a 5-second delay. So yet there is another thing that we can do here. At the end of this loop, we can ask it to pause for a second or 5 seconds or 10 seconds before it actually repeats. And that again gives you additional time to sort of prepare and get ready. So yet another feature that you can incorporate into this looping, which is very, very useful. So now we're going to finish this loop, and we're going to go into the last loop at 100%, and then I'm going to stop this and just talk a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to stop it before we get to the end, but a couple of things now. First of all, what we're doing here is creating a customized practice lesson where we're getting progressively faster. You cannot create multiple loops in the standard version. It just simply allows you to create one loop, and that is all. So you can create multiple loops in here. You can also cut and paste, which you cannot do in the standard version, and that allows me to copy and paste in this click track, which is very helpful to you as you get set up and prepared to launch into the solo each and every time. Once you've done this, then the other thing that you can do is you can save it, and you can save it in one of two ways. Let's go ahead and just open the, I don't want to do that. Let me do it this way. Let's go ahead and open the original solo, which is here. There it is. Now, I've already done this because I didn't want to take the time on screen to do it with you, but I've saved it as an SSP file, which is a proprietary format used by SongSurgeon, which is a SongSurgeon project file. So you can save it, you can reopen it at a later time, and all of those things will appear on your screen, which you can see right here. So essentially, it's a way to make a customized lesson and then save it and then reopen it at a later time. Perhaps, at least as importantly, if not more importantly, is the fact that you can actually export this. So I can export this, save it as a WAV or an MP3 or an MP4, and then I no longer have to be tied down to my computer or to SongSurgeon. I can open this up in any other player. I can put it on an MP3 player, on an iPod, and it will play back at these rates. So there'll be the first part of it, about 15, 16 seconds, will be 30%, and then 50%, and then 70, 90, 100. And I've already done that. I've exported that file, and I can also open that for you on the screen, or we can open it in Windows Media Player. Okay, I have Windows Media Player open now, and I have actually opened this song. Here it is, 5-part solo MP3. And so let's go ahead and play it back, and I'm not going to play the whole thing because it takes a couple of minutes, but you'll hear here as we start to get progressively faster, and that way you'll know that indeed we've exported this file, we made those changes permanent. Now that's the 30% part. Let me grab this and slide it a little further. Sounds to me like we're on the 50% part now. Coming up on 70% now. Now we're coming up on the 90% part, and I'm going to stop after this. I think you've heard enough to know that this is a file that has those changes embedded in it. Okay, I think that's enough. So there you go. There's an illustration of something you can do with the Pro version of SongSurgeon that you cannot do with the standard version. Don't get me wrong, the standard version is a great tool. It's got distortion-free audio, and you can set up a loop, and you can do a lot of useful things with it. But to put together these customized lessons and copying and pasting silence in and copying and pasting click tracks in or other audio that you may want to use to narrate it, you can do all of those things with the Pro version, and you cannot do that with the standard version. So those are just a couple of the things, and there are many, many other things as well, but I wanted to give you at least this preliminary presentation or demonstration of what some of the differences are. Thanks.